What's up, Ramblers? I'm back, and I'm vlogging from bed. I don't really think I've ever vlogged in bed before, and because I've been away for a while, I figured I'd shake some things up. Anyways, I'm going to attack the last two topics in this same video because I feel that it's only fitting that I, catch up a little bit. And you should expect to see another video from me this week that is a long overdue challenge completion that should be fun and interesting. So I'll put that up sometime midweek. Alright, so James's question for last weekend was whether video game art is high or low culture. Video games in general, I guess, not just the art in video games, but video games themselves, are they high or low culture? And then this week Ruth wants to know about the music that we're into and why we might be into such music, so I'm going to answer both of those questions. First, the difference between high and low culture in video games. Perhaps I'm just more judgmental than Ruth is, but I have no problem distinguishing between high and low culture, and I think that all art can be divided that way, and I put things under this general umbrella of art if they take creativity and passion to create them, and they're not just formulaic. So any video game that is purely formulaic, I would say isn't cultural at all, isn't high or low culture because it's not really artistic. But I can't think of an example of a video game that is like that, so let's just pretend that's not even a category. So anyways, accepting that, video games can be either high or low culture because high or low culture exists and is a classification system that we can actually place things into, I'm going to have to take the cop-out answer and say that depending on the video game, it could be either. I should also point out that low culture should not be taken as a negative description of a video game or any piece of art. I think that some video games intend to be quote-unquote low culture because that's just the aim that the company had for creating that game. Whereas a high culture video game might aim to challenge someone or to stimulate them intellectually. A low culture video game might just be for purely the sake of entertainment. And I believe that, especially among people who play video games fairly seriously, there's a place for both. Take a game like Portal, for instance. I think that Portal is a fairly high culture game because it takes a lot of intellect and it takes a lot of forward thinking to A, come up with the concept for that game, but also B, to play it through and to succeed in it. And I would play that game for a different reason than I might sit down with, Tetris or old school Mario. Those games don't take an awful lot of skill or an awful lot of thinking, but they're maybe far more entertaining and far less frustrating than Portal can be. So even though while I'm discussing those games I might refer to them as low culture as opposed to a high culture video game, I still think that they have a very important place in video gaming culture, and that you sit down and play low culture video games for a different reason than you sit down and play high culture video games. And, the two don't necessarily have to be in a hierarchy. So James, I hope that answers your question. I think the monikers high and low often create a sort of stigma of one being better than the other, and that's just not the way I see it. I think video games of high culture and low culture just have a different end goal, and both succeed equally well in that goal. Anyways, Ruth, moving on to your question about music, I'm not afraid to admit that I'm somewhat of a music hipster. Obviously, I'm crazy into wizard rock and DFTBA artists, which most people in North America, the world, would not know about outside of this sort of internet community that we have going on here. And as far as non-internet based artists go, I'm far more into sort of independent, mostly acoustic rock kind of stuff that most people don't know about, which is very hipster of me, but I'm not really into Billboard Top 100 artists. I don't listen to a lot of radio. I find most of my music online and through other people who I know have similar music taste to me, so I very rarely go to, say, a record store and buy a CD of a new band that's popular and, whatever. I would never go buy the new, insert name of popular musician here album just because it came out and it's doing really well. I would be more likely to find music through a site like 8track.com or something like that puts together songs by independent artists and lesser known artists into playlists that are all of similar interest, and I'm more likely to find something that I like on there. That was very rambly of me, but I'm going to leave that all in there, so sorry. Anyways, yep, I'm a big music hipster, and I'm not going to stop liking a band just because they become quote-unquote mainstream or more people find out about them. I'm not that hipster. It's not like a band has to be underground or has to be lesser known for me to like them. It's just that I tend to like music that is not as popular as other music, or I tend to look for bands that are talented but don't fall into the sort of traps of trying to be a mainstream artist and trying to put out successful top 100 songs, because I feel like there's a formula to that and people can very easily pop out a popular pop song. That was a bizarre sentence, but you know what I mean. Like, it's very easy to put out a song that's going to do well on the charts, and I look for musicians that go outside of that range of music. Anyways, guys, sorry I've been away. Again, look for that video that I have coming out this week of a challenge completion that I know Ruth is very excited about, and I hope the rest of you are too. And I miss you guys tons and tons and tons. And I'm done exams now, officially, so it's on to summer break and all sorts of fun things for me. So I look forward to seeing you guys this week. DFTBA.